A trailblazer emerges. Kamala Harris's path to history. Kamala Harris's 2020 campaign was more than a bid for the White House. It was a testament to the power of representation, a beacon of hope for marginalized communities, and a resounding call for change. Her journey from daughter of immigrants to the second most powerful office in the land shattered glass ceilings and inspired millions. Harris, the first woman, first black person, and first South Asian American to serve as vice president, embodied the aspirations of a nation yearning for progress. Harris's story began far from the halls of power. Born in Oakland, California, to parents active in the civil rights movement, she was raised with a deep sense of justice and equality. Her mother, a breast cancer researcher from India, and her father, an economist from Jamaica, instilled in her the values of hard work, education, and public service. These values would later become the cornerstones of her political career. From an early age, Harris witnessed firsthand the struggles faced by marginalized communities. Growing up in a racially diverse community, she saw the impact of systemic inequalities on families, neighborhoods, and opportunities. These experiences fueled her passion for social justice and her commitment to fighting for those whose voices were often unheard. Harris's journey to the vice presidency was paved with historic firsts. She served as the first female district attorney of San Francisco and the first Black and South Asian American Attorney General of California, breaking barriers and challenging the status quo at every step. Her unwavering dedication to public service and her unwavering belief in the promise of America set the stage for her historic run for the White House. Building Bridges, a campaign founded on unity and inclusivity. At the heart of Kamala Harris's campaign was a profound belief in the power of unity. In a time of deep political division, she sought to build bridges, not walls, and to bring Americans together around shared values. Her message of hope, healing, and shared purpose resonated with voters across the political spectrum, particularly those who felt marginalized and unheard. Harris understood that true progress could only be achieved through collective action. She recognized the strength in America's diversity and believed that the country's challenges could only be solved by harnessing the talents and perspectives of all its people. Her campaign became a platform for amplifying the voices of marginalized communities, ensuring that their stories were heard and their needs addressed.
Central to Harris's inclusive approach was her commitment to grassroots organizing. She understood that real change starts from the ground up, by empowering individuals and communities to take ownership of their future. Her campaign invested heavily in building a robust network of volunteers, organizers, and local leaders who worked tirelessly to mobilize voters and get out the message. Harris's campaign events were a testament to her commitment to inclusivity. From town halls in rural communities to rallies in major cities, she made a concerted effort to reach out to voters from all walks of life. She listened intently to their concerns, shared her vision for a more just and equitable society, and inspired them to believe in the power of their vote.
The power of the people, grassroots organizing and engaging the base. Recognizing the power of grassroots movements, Kamala Harris prioritized connecting with voters on a personal level. Her campaign understood that true engagement went beyond rallies and speeches. It required building relationships, listening to concerns, and empowering individuals to become advocates for change. Harris's team implemented a sophisticated digital strategy to connect with voters online. They utilized social media platforms to share her message, engage in conversations, and mobilize supporters. Through targeted advertising and online fundraising, the campaign effectively reached demographics traditionally excluded from political processes. The campaign's focus on voter registration and mobilization proved particularly effective. Recognizing the power of the youth vote and communities of color, Harris's team organized voter registration drives at colleges, community centers, and cultural events. These efforts translated into record-breaking voter turnout, demonstrating the impact of engaging traditionally underrepresented communities.
Beyond digital outreach, Harris's campaign relied heavily on volunteers. Thousands of individuals across the country dedicated their time and resources to canvassing neighborhoods, making phone calls, and organizing events. This groundswell of support, fueled by a shared vision for a more just and equitable America, played a crucial role in mobilizing voters and amplifying the campaign's message.
A platform for progress, healthcare, justice, and economic equity. Kamala Harris's campaign wasn't solely about representation. It was deeply rooted in progressive policy proposals aimed at dismantling systemic inequalities. Her platform addressed a wide range of issues from healthcare and criminal justice reform to economic equity and climate change, with a focus on uplifting marginalized communities.
Recognizing healthcare as a right, not a privilege, Harris campaigned on expanding access to affordable healthcare. She advocated for strengthening the Affordable Care Act, lowering prescription drug costs, and achieving universal healthcare coverage. Her plan aimed to address disparities in healthcare access and outcomes, particularly for communities of color and low-income families. On criminal justice reform, Harris drew upon her experience as a prosecutor to advocate for a fairer and more equitable system. She championed policies aimed at ending mass incarceration, eliminating cash bail, and addressing racial bias in policing and sentencing. Her platform emphasized rehabilitation over punishment and investing in communities disproportionately impacted by the criminal justice system. Understanding the interconnectedness of social and economic justice, Harris prioritized policies that promoted economic equity. She proposed raising the minimum wage, investing in affordable housing, and expanding access to education and job training. Her platform aimed to create pathways to economic security for all Americans, regardless of their background or zip code.
Section 5. Confronting climate change. A plan for a sustainable future. Recognizing the urgency of the climate crisis, Kamala Harris made addressing climate change a cornerstone of her campaign. She understood that climate change disproportionately impacts marginalized communities and called for bold action to mitigate its effects and transition to a sustainable future. Harris's climate plan centered on achieving net zero emissions by 2050 through investments in renewable energy, energy efficiency, and sustainable transportation. She advocated for rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement and restoring environmental regulations rolled back by the previous administration. Understanding the economic opportunities presented by a green economy, Harris's plan emphasized creating millions of new jobs in clean energy sectors. She proposed investing in workforce development programs to ensure a just transition for workers and communities historically reliant on fossil fuels. Recognizing the global nature of the climate crisis, Harris called for international cooperation to reduce emissions and address the impacts of climate change. She emphasized the importance of climate justice, ensuring that developing countries have the resources and support to adapt to a changing climate. Section 6. Reforming immigration, a more just and humane system. Kamala Harris campaigned on reforming the United States immigration system, advocating for a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants and a more just and humane approach to border security. Her platform reflected her belief in the contributions of immigrants and her commitment to keeping families together.
Harris's immigration plan included a pathway to citizenship for Dreamers, undocumented immigrants brought to the United States as children. She supported comprehensive immigration reform that addressed border security while upholding the values of compassion and due process. Recognizing the humanitarian crisis at the border, Harris called for an end to family separations and the inhumane treatment of migrants. She advocated for addressing the root causes of migration, such as poverty and violence, through investments in development and diplomacy. Harris's immigration policies stemmed from her belief that America is a nation of immigrants and that its diversity is a source of strength. She championed a welcoming and inclusive approach to immigration that honored the contributions of immigrants and upheld the country's values.
Section 7. Addressing the past. The scrutiny of a prosecutor's record. Kamala Harris's campaign was not without its challenges and controversies. Her record as a prosecutor, particularly her stance on issues like the death penalty and criminal justice reform, came under intense scrutiny. Critics argued that some of her past actions contradicted her progressive platform.
Harris faced criticism for her handling of certain cases as a prosecutor, with some arguing that she was too quick to seek convictions and did not do enough to address racial disparities in the criminal justice system. She acknowledged the complexities of her past role and expressed regret for some of the decisions made during her tenure. However, Harris maintained that her experience as a prosecutor gave her valuable insights into the flaws of the criminal justice system and fueled her commitment to reform. She pointed to her record of implementing progressive reforms as San Francisco District Attorney and California Attorney General, such as creating re-entry programs for formerly incarcerated individuals and launching initiatives to address racial bias in law enforcement. Despite the controversies, Harris remained steadfast in her commitment to criminal justice reform. She used her platform to engage in difficult conversations about race, justice, and accountability, acknowledging past mistakes while outlining a vision for a more just and equitable future.
Section 8. A historic ticket. Biden chooses Harris, making history. In a moment that sent shockwaves through American politics and ignited celebrations across the country, Joe Biden selected Kamala Harris as his running mate, making her the first black woman and first person of South Asian descent to be nominated for vice president by a major party.
This historic decision was not only a testament to Harris's qualifications and experience, but also a recognition of the crucial role that black women have played and continue to play in American politics.
Biden's selection of Harris energized key voter groups, particularly black voters and women, who turned out in record numbers to support the Democratic ticket. Harris's presence on the ticket brought a fresh perspective and a powerful voice to the campaign, appealing to a broad coalition of voters eager for change and representation.
Harris's nomination shattered a seemingly impenetrable glass ceiling, inspiring millions of girls and women, particularly those from marginalized communities, to believe that they too could aspire to the highest offices in the land. Her historic candidacy served as a powerful reminder that representation matters and that America's promise of equality is best fulfilled when all voices are heard and all perspectives are valued.
The Biden-Harris ticket represented a stark contrast to the divisive rhetoric and policies of the incumbent administration. Their message of unity, empathy, and hope resonated with voters across the political spectrum who were yearning for a return to normalcy and a government that reflected the country's diversity and values. Section 9. A force on the campaign trail. Mobilizing voters and shaping the narrative. Kamala Harris's presence on the campaign trail was electrifying. A skilled orator and passionate advocate, she connected with voters on a personal level, sharing her story and her vision for a more just and equitable America.
Her ability to articulate the campaign's message with clarity, conviction, and empathy proved invaluable in mobilizing voters and shaping the narrative of the race. Harris's speeches were often a blend of personal anecdotes, policy specifics, and soaring rhetoric.
She spoke about her upbringing in a family of activists, her experiences as a prosecutor fighting for justice, and her vision for a country where everyone has the opportunity to succeed. Her ability to weave together personal stories with policy proposals made her message both relatable and inspiring.
Recognizing the importance of engaging with voters from all walks of life, Harris crisscrossed the country, holding town halls in rural communities, speaking at rallies in major cities, and meeting with voters one-on-one. Her willingness to listen to people's concerns, answer their questions, and share her vision for the future resonated with voters who felt ignored and unheard by the incumbent administration.
Harris's presence on the ticket also allowed the Biden campaign to reach out to key demographic groups, particularly black voters and women, in a more targeted and effective way. Her speeches and interviews often focused on issues of particular concern to these communities, such as racial justice, healthcare, and education. Section 10. The Harris Impact, shaping the Biden administration's agenda. Following their historic victory, Kamala Harris's influence on the Biden administration's policy agenda has been undeniable. Her voice and perspective, informed by her lived experiences and her commitment to social justice, have played a crucial role in shaping the administration's approach to issues ranging from racial equity and criminal justice reform to climate change and immigration.
Harris's role as vice president has extended beyond the traditional duties of the office. Biden has tasked her with leading the administration's efforts on key priorities, such as voting rights, immigration reform, and addressing the root causes of migration from Central America. Her deep understanding of these issues, coupled with her ability to build coalitions and navigate complex political landscapes, has been instrumental in advancing the administration's agenda.
Harris's presence in the White House has also brought a renewed focus on issues of racial equity and social justice. Her voice has been particularly influential in shaping the administration's response to the national reckoning on race that followed the murder of George Floyd. Her advocacy for police reform, criminal justice reform, and